Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Sorry for the delay, but important stuff had to happen to delay this stream, and that sometimes happens. So, before I get into the stream and the review, let's say hello to the chat. We got Davian Donaldson, good to see you. Vanya, good to see you. Yes, today is 300. And we got Neozoic, it is 300. Haven't seen the Northman, but now I know how it ends. If you're going by the hints, but yes, the hints were the main character dies, a flying spear, and I basically or party at the cliffs. So yeah, this movie is from Zack Snyder, and it's one that I actually still enjoy. It's based on historical events. However, it is an embellishment of history. It is not by any means an accurate depiction of the events at Thermopylae back in the before Christ era. I believe it was around the 480 BC era, if I remember correctly. So before I do get into it, be sure to smash that like button or show no mercy to it. This is a Spartan stream. And make sure that you guys tune in tonight on the Bar Room Podcast. I will be going on my buddy Jake's channel, Society Reviews, to discuss some craziness in the world today, in the world of entertainment, that is. Sundays, I do MCU Sundays, where I will be doing this upcoming Sunday, Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And Riot Kitty is going to be apparently joining because she'll be coming back from the vacation in time, just enough to get here. Also, I will be putting out more content as it comes. I'm going to start going back into Bounding into Comics articles to give to you guys, let you know what's going on and my thoughts on them. I'm thinking about doing a video after the stream to go over the weird Teenage Kraken movie about, or that has an antagonist that looks very familiar. So I'm going to give my own thoughts on that. And yeah. Oh, sorry. Neozoic, this is Sparta, indeed. And Junebug, good to see you. Good to see you. Make sure that you smash the like button. Share the stream out, folks. It is important. My watch hours are now at 3,013 hours. And I have been doing the best I can to get content out. I really need the watch time to go back up. So if you can, check out my content. I got playlists. Check them out if you have to put them on like in the background or something. I would really appreciate it. It truly helps the channel. Views, likes, and watch time. It really helps the channel. So without further ado, let's get into this review. So yes, 2007, Zack Snyder directed The Spartan Tale of the 300, based on the graphic novel by Frank Miller. This movie stars Gerard Butler, Lena Headey, David Wenham, or as a lot of people affectionately call him, David Daisy Wenham, Dominic West, Rodrigo Santoro, and Michael Fassbender, along with a few others. The beginning is narrated by David Wenham's Delios about the Spartan, or when Spartans were born, they were inspected. Now, folks, thank you, Davian. When a lot of people say that Spartans are bloodthirsty, brutal, and all that stuff. That is true. Spartans were perfectionists. Their city-state society was a perfectionist republic, essentially. It was elitist. It also had a king and queen structure. However, it was bound by law, and no king in Sparta was above the law. It was a very contradictory kind of government. And their society was meant to build the best of humanity, essentially, during times of war. They were a warrior culture, and they were the best warrior culture. I often wonder who would win between a Spartan and a Marine hand to hand. Because Spartans, by the time they learn to stand, begin training in combat. When they learn to walk. But beginning, that shows Leonidas being, hey, Cannoli, good to see you. And Leonidas, so yeah, I know, right? Hello, Cannoli Sasquatch, and hello, how's you and your wife doing? I noticed she got her channel up. I saw her, or I was able to catch some of her live stream the other day. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, yes, King Leonidas is being inspected after he was born, and if he was small, weak, or sickly, or deformed, he would have been discarded. They would have murdered the baby after it was born if it was deformed or sickly in any way. Only the best can be in Sparta. A Navy SEAL or Marine, they're both, or Navy SEALs and Marines are basically the best fighters, essentially, from what I understand in the military. However, I do know some Army or some people in the Army who would disagree with that. But yes, Navy SEALs, they're tactical and whatnot, yes, but they mostly rely on weapons. And yes, they also rely on hand-to-hand stuff as well. However, Marines are also top-tier combat. So I'd like to see a Spartan go up, or I wish I could see a Spartan go up against one of them. It would be interesting. So, excuse me, sorry. Some of the shields and spears and swords were recycled from films Troy and Alexander. Oh, nice. There's Neozelt coming in with the fun facts. And he also likes to come in with questions pertaining to, and I will answer those questions as they come, but I'm also getting on with it. We then see the boy around 4 or 5, where he is basically fighting his father with a real sword, mind you. A 5 or 6 year old with a real sword, played by Snyder's son at this point. What did I think of Rise of the Empire? I thought it was pretty good. However, I'm sticking to this one to review. Zack Snyder always put his son in a lot of his movies in some sort of cameo here or there. He was also in Sucker Punch, where he played one of the soldiers that was injured and whatnot. Apparently, Clive Owen was the first choice to play King Leonidas. Well, Clive Owen and Gerard Butler do kind of resemble each other, so I wouldn't put it or who bumped into the frame? That was my stepbrother, and that's fine. All right, but I'm keeping all of them as anonymous as I can for reasons, safety reasons mostly. It looks like I got a low signal on my computer. Can everybody hear me and see me correctly? Am I skipping or anything like that? Okay, it looks like it's back now. So then we see him literally get backhanded by his father, which it's when you're teaching your kid to fight and you're in that kind of society, yes, that'll happen. And folks, just so you know, girls were also raised the same in Sparta. The women were considered the last line of defense of Sparta, and they were not to be taken lightly. They were just as brutal, if not more, because they have that maternal structure, and that maternal structure, when defending something they love, can definitely become ferocious. So we then see him forced to live on his own at the age of 7. They are taken from their parents. Rhetorical thrill. Yep. Come back with your shield or on it. That was a good line in it. I believe that was also, it could have been improvised, but I don't believe it was. But yes, good to see you, Rhetorical. She's one of the good ones, folks. Definitely subscribe to her if you haven't already. In fact, everybody should subscribe to everybody who is a content creator in the chat. They're all worthy. How would you compare 300 with other movies that were based on Frank Miller's, such as Sin City, Dark Knight Returns, Part 1 and 2, Batman Year 1? I've seen Dark Knight Returns, Part 1 and 2. I've seen also Watchmen, and I thought they were done very well. As this one, a lot of people criticized the kind of sepia tones that this movie has. That's actually by design. So I'm not going to fault this movie's design, because they were trying to make it as close to the design of the graphic novel as possible. And also there is a rock structure in this movie that is seen throughout the entire movie in different angles that was built specifically for that kind of multi-purpose. And I'll get more into it as we get closer to those scenes. In fact, I believe the first scene where they're inspecting baby Leonidas, that formation was used, that rock formation that was built for the in the sets. Zack Snyder affectionately called it the rabbit. If you looked at it from a certain angle, it does kind of resemble a rabbit. I didn't see it, but you know, maybe they didn't show it at that angle. So then we see he's out into the world of violence, thrust into the world of violence at a young age of 7, where he's beating on another kid. And that last hit, man, is truly just boom and just blood. They did not shy away from blood in this film. And I really do like that. By the way, do not watch the 1962 movie, The 300 Spartans. Very, very mediocre. I may check it out just out of curiosity. Watchmen comic is actually done by Alan Moore, not Frank Miller. It's still adapted from comic or graphic novel, rather. But anyway, returning to the review, you then see that he's getting smacked as he's lashed to a pillar. Now, what they don't tell you is that the agoge lasts for several years. It is, hey, Riot Kitty, good to see you. It is not something that is 300s above or around the top 3, in my opinion. But the agoge can last for years. And when I say years, I mean years. They are taught to steal. They are taught to murder. They are taught to kill. They are taught to fight. They are taught to survive in the most harshest of conditions. This movie does not show the brutality that, or gives you a small taste of it, but does not show you the entirety of what the agoge can or pertains to. These people were born and bred to fight and kill in the service of their country. And they were considered the elite of society. And they were also a very caring society. A lot of people say, oh, they're brutal, vicious, bloodthirsty killers and whatnot. What they don't tell you is that they are also, well, they were mostly of a republic kind of government, except with the exception of the monarchy establishment of king. They had a senate, they had a council, they even had the ephors, which were kind of like the Supreme Court, so to speak. However, that practice was phased out with the ephors. And we see young Leonidas take on the wolf, and then he returns, and we see that wolf that they did. They got it very good. However, one of the things that they or they took a lot of the narration and a lot of the lines from the graphic novel itself, literally almost word for word, and put it in this movie. And when you do that, you run the risk of small little errors. In this movie, the wolves' eyes were glowing, but they were not red by any structure. They were more of an orangish, flamish kind of color. And when he says eyes glowing red, it's like, no, that's not red, man. May have been red in the movie or in the book, but in the movie, I would have said eyes flaming or glowing, not red, though. So there is a bit of a writer contradictory when you're translating it from book to film. We then see that this narration is from Delios, who is missing an eye, but then we see when we go back in time, he has his eye, so he'll lose it in the progression of this film. And we see Leonidas has provoked, or he says how another beast has come, but this one of slaves and men, which was the Persian army. Now, yes, folks, the Persians did attack all over the world, and it was Greece who pushed them back. So that part is true in the historical record. We then get introduced to the Persian emissary, which was, I believe, Peter Mensa, who plays him. 300 is one of Snyder's best movies. I agree. It is one of his best movies. Because honestly, I miss movies that have the raw viscera that this movie has. Fun fact, too, Zack Snyder was hired in June of 2004 to make 300 before the debut of his first film, 2004 remake of Dawn of the Dead. Interesting. That's fun fact, too, by Neozoic. Thank you for that. So then we get the Persian messenger rides up to the gates of Sparta, pulls out a strung together group of skulls that were crowns of fallen kings, basically saying, I am a messenger of an army that has killed these kings. Do not defy this, or do not defy the Persian army, essentially. Well, during this time, Gerard Butler is now portrayed in the movie as King Leonidas, which was man born of lion stock, is what it translates into. Leonidas, born of lion stock. And he's teaching his kid, Plastiacres, or something like that, or Plastiacres, or I forget his son's name, but it's Plastocrates or something like that. And he's teaching his son about respect and honor and how to take the fear you feel in battle and use it to give you strength. Kind of a very Sith kind of mindset, but one that worked back then. And he then has to go speak to the Persian. Well, he tells this Persian messenger, he's like, before you give your message, know that in Sparta, every man, including a king's messenger, is held accountable for the words from his voice. So just be aware of that, and let me know what message you bring. Earth and water. Well, yeah, okay. You rode out here for all earth and water. And that's when Gorgo, Lena Headey, chimes in. Don't be coy or stupid. And well, the messenger's like, what makes this woman think she can speak among men? And it's like, in Sparta, women have a voice. Women even had a vote in Sparta, believe it or not. They were radically ahead of their time in Sparta. Women were treated as equals in Sparta. Just so you guys know. How did I compare 300 with the rest of his other films? Like I said, it's top tier. In fact, I would actually say 300 is more the number one out of the rest that I have seen. I always laughed at her name, Queen Gorgo. because I immediately think of kaiju movies from 1961. Well, actually, when I hear Gorgo, I think of Gorgon, which is the three sisters of Medusa, or the sisters and Medusa, or sisters of Medusa and Medusa herself. They were Gorgons. So Gorgo was known for her beauty and for her manipulations as well. But anyway, I love her retort because it's only Spartan women who give birth to real men, and it's like, oof. I bet that chafed your nuts a little bit, didn't it, Persian? So the Persian delivers his message that Xerxes. Now what the? Oh, jeez. Riot. Ugh. Then anyway, he delivers his threat that if Sparta doesn't submit to the will of Xerxes, they will be enslaved and annihilated, essentially. And, well, he's like, submission. Well, that's going to be a bit of a problem. You see, the Athenians have already turned you down. And if those philosophers and boy lovers have that kind of nerve, and then you see Councilman Theron, who was entertaining our guest before, but is now, he's trying to speak. He's like, we must be diplomatic. And it's like, well, of course, Spartans have their reputation too, or at stake. So, yeah. And the guy threatens him again. Be careful with your next words, Leonidas. They may be your last as king. And it's like, okay, you've just threatened the king. You've insulted the queen. You've threatened the king. You threatened the nation. I would have done exactly what Leonidas had done. You just threatened and he pulls the sword on him. He's like, you bring the skull or the heads of, or the crowns and heads of fallen kings to my city steps. You insult my queen, and you threaten my people with slavery and death. I've chosen my words carefully, Persian. You should have done the same. And there is that bit before he pulls his sword where he is looking at the people that he is king of. He is thinking of the people when he makes this decision. We are free people. We are not going to bow to anyone's will. And the messenger says, no man, Greek or Persian, no man threatens a messenger. That is technically true. You kill a messenger, that is tantamount to killing the voice of your opponent who was trying to be diplomatic back in those days. And actually, in today's time, you kill an ambassador, you are basically declaring war on a nation. It is tantamount to committing a war crime. So, yeah, he tells him, he's like, you should have chosen your words more carefully, man. And then you see, he's like, this is blasphemy, this is madness. He looks to his queen for the next move, and she gives her nod of assent. Madness, this is Sparta. I'm not about to yell that out, folks. I mean, as much as I'd love to and totally get into the moment, I want to spare your eardrums. Also, I would scare the shit out of my mom and stepbrother. Do you think Zack Snyder has the same fate of M. Night Shyamalan, where his early films were good, 300, Watchmen, Dawn of the Dead remake, while he went downhill with his later films, DCEU? I like Man of Steel. And honestly, I'm one of those rare people that actually like most of Batman v Superman. I like the Zack Snyder trilogy of the DCEU, especially the score. That would freak someone out if someone just suddenly yelled down, this is fire. Yeah, I would. I mean, seriously, I'm already a naturally loud and boisterous person. If I would have just yelled out, this is Sparta, in this house, they would have been like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And hey, Ruben, good to see you. Good to see you, man. Well, now, because you're not going to do it in your review, you have to upload a short yelling, this is Sparta. Well, I will later, but I got to wait for them to go, which they will be going pretty much by the time I'm done my stream. So yeah, you know what, Junebug? If everybody in the chat, yes for or Y for yes and for no, do you want me to do a short where I scream out, "This is Sparta," where I yell it out like Gerard Butler? Let me know. Y for yes, N for no. Of course, Riot Kitty would do it or would say yes. How do you feel about This is Sparta became a popular internet meme and has been spoofed throughout the media? Hey, I'm all for the parodying of that line. I mean, I've even once said, "This is the Adirondacks, man." You think all those wussies are pretty much the Adirondacks is Sparta, where New York City is Athens. Just to give you guys an idea. Everybody says yes, so it's a resounding yes. Okay, I'll do it. When they take off and after my stream, I will do a short screaming out, "This is Sparta." But y'all better freaking watch it. So getting on with it, he kicks the messenger in, and we then go to the scene where he has to climb the mountain to give or get permission from the E4s, inbred, diseased, postulating swine. These guys were ugly as fuck, man. I'm surprised one could even hear because his ear was so deformed and shit. And he tosses them gold for the tribute. It became a meme because it was such a good line, like Gandalf saying, "You shall not pass." Yeah, definitely. And well, the E4s are like, Sparta's not going to go to war. We got a festival coming up. And I would be like, fuck your festival. We're about to die. I would think you guys would trust common sense here, man. But they're of the ancient ways. Your blasphemies have already cost us quite a lot. Do not compound them. And so they consult an oracle. Now, the girl is above the age of 18 who plays this character. However, in Sparta, the oracle was more around 14, 15. And back then, it was not unheard of for people to be sexually active around 12, 13 years of age. Yeah, they were having kids at that time too. That's why a lot of shit or humanity back then didn't live so long. Stress of childhood at a young age is enough to drive anyone insane. Yeah. So you get this oracle redhead chick doing a dance, and they filmed that sequence. She's underwater doing this all, and then they make it look like she's floating in air talking about this stuff. And she says that Greece and Sparta will fall, honor the gods and honor the Carnea, which is the festival. And well, Leonidas isn't happy about this, so he's standing looking at the biggest full moon ever, while he's also giving a full moon to the camera for all the ladies to enjoy. And I'm thinking to myself, dude's rip. Not going to deny that. And he then talks with his queen, and she's like, ask yourself, what would a free man do? And then they have their Olympic-style sex scene, which is exactly how they describe it in the audio commentary. It's like, when you're shooting a scene like this, I wanted this specific scene to be like an Olympic event. And to show that she's on top and yada, yada, yada. The original comic book served as an inspiration for an episode of Samurai Jack. Interesting. They did not live as long, and in that time, it was common for 14 to be an age for marriage. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Because we're a little bit more evolved now than we are back then. So yeah, you get that scene, and then the next day he's bringing 300 of his men out for a stroll. I'm just gonna take a stroll, stretch my legs. He beats the Senate, or the council, basically overruling them by, it's like, I've given no orders for the Spartan army to go to war. These 300 are my bodyguards. And I'm just taking a stroll to stretch my legs. Well, where were you going? Thinking about heading north to the Hot Gates. Yeah. What should we do? Well, what can we do? Yeah, what can you do? I love that, how he freaking throws that. He's like, what can you do? And we see the tearful goodbye scene, basically, with Lena Headey. She played this so well, where she gives the wolf claw to her husband, the wolf that he slew as a teenager. And he, you hear the narration, goodbye, my love. The word is not spoken. There's no, or words that were unspoken, because there's no room for softness in Sparta. So, yeah. She says, come back with your shield or on it. Come back alive or come back on, or come back dead. But come back with glory, essentially. Hey, Cassie, good to see you. That's going. Take it easy, Davian. Thank you so much. Catch the rest when you are able, buddy. Thank you so much. And fun fact number 3, 300 won MTV Movie Awards for Best Fight, Saturn Awards for Best Director, and Best Action, Adventure, Thriller, Film, etc. Nice. So you see them taking off, but you also see somebody is watching them from afar. And we learn that this person is later known as Ephialtes, the great deceiver of the Spartan army, or of the Spartan 300. Nobody knows what the real Ephialtes. We do know that Ephialtes was indeed a person in ancient Greece. He betrayed the Spartans. We do not know if he was a diseased, deformed being like he is, a hunchback, in real life. However, we do know that he did, in fact, betray the Spartans back then. And they're going out. They're walking. They know that they are most likely going to die. And they know, or one of the nice introductions in this movie is Michael Fassbender, who is very freaking eager. He's like, we are with you, sire, for Sparta, for glory, to the death. And it's like, when you hear him saying this, and the camera is on Leonidas and his captain, the captain's like, oh my God, this guy just won't shut up. You just see him kind of like roll his eyes like, and there's this guy. So you see that Michael Fassbender, who plays Stelios, I like his character in this movie. The dude is just waiting for a beautiful death. And he even tells that to one of the Arcadians later, or Daxus the Arcadian. He's like, nobody has been able to give me what we Spartans call a beautiful death. I'm praying that somewhere down there, one of them is up to the task. And he just has, Michael Fassbender has one of the most evil looking grins, man. But it's so great. Michael Fassbender, dude. Freaking awesome. So, yes, they're all taking off. They're all walking. They're heading to the Hot Gates. And it's also known as Thermopylae, which translates into the Hot Gates. And then we see the Arcadians. And he's like, I would have thought that Sparta would have at least matched our commitment to this. Did you now? Well, you there? What's your profession? I'm a potter, sir. Potter. And you? Sculptor. Sculptor. And you? Blacksmith. Blacksmith, okay. Spartans, what is your profession? And they all basically do their hoo. And yeah. He's like, see, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did. I love that line. And it is. It's like, Spartans, what is your profession? And so the king does not sleep the first night. he takes the first watch, which shows that he does, in fact, care for all of his men. Leonidas, in the historical record, was a king that was highly respected for doing what he did. And so we then see a hold on a moment. Right. They spot the deformed, which is Ephialtes, and then they are drawn to the dead village, where a child is walking out of the smoke, where they see a shadow of what we know to be the immortals in the film. Spartans remind me of being a Marine. Yeah, I had a job, but my primary job was rifleman and to kill the enemy. NV, go back to the beginning of this stream. Go back to the beginning of the stream. I have a question. And I'll let you figure it out. I'm not going to repeat the question, but yeah, go back to the beginning of the stream when you get the chance. So we then see that this boy comes in, or this child, I think it was a boy, it could have been a girl. Really hard to tell. And she says it's quiet now, but they came with beasts from the blackness with their claws and fangs, and they killed everybody except for me. And they found the villagers all lashed and tied and slaughtered to the branches of a tree. And they know of the immortals of Xerxes' army, the elite guard, essentially. And it was only 20 or 30 that did this to this village. And I love Leonidas's next line. Immortals will put their names to the test. Ironic that Michael Fassbender's first film is 300, where in his later career he gets X-Men films, Prometheus, Inglourious Basterds, etc. Yeah, well, yeah, Michael Fassbender is a great actor. A lot of people give him shit for a couple of movies he did, but honestly, I've not seen him do a bad role. I haven't. He played Magneto very well. So did Ian McKellen, or Ian McKellen played it better, but he plays a very good Magneto. So, yes, we then get the scene where a councilman is meeting with Gorgo, the queen, and she requests to speak with the council. And we then see, or before that, actually, we see that the Persian fleet is arriving, and a storm wipes out a lot of the Persian fleet. Now, you see that Leonidas keeps his Spartan reserve, where you see the rest are celebrating. They're like, yeah, and all that. Hey, fierce black, apathetic black, or the fierce apathetic black queen. Sorry. I always mix up your name a little bit. How you doing, girl? Good to see you. I've seen him do bad movies, but not bad roles. Even the Frocking Snowman, he tried his best. I have not seen that movie. But yeah, I'll have to check it out, I guess. Thank you for letting me know, right? So then the Persians see, or the Spartans and Daxos find the Persian army has landed, and they're like, I saw those ships wipe out on the rocks. Well, he's like, or Fassbender, Stelios, he's like, we only saw a little bit of the army that is Xerxes's, or that is of the Persian army that is Xerxes' horde. And he starts to smile. He's like, why do you smile? Arcadian, we Spartans live for battle. I have fought countless, and yet I have found no battle to give me what we Spartans call a beautiful death. So yeah, it shows that Stelios is, in fact, sociopathically suicidal, but he's willing to fight his way to death in order to. He's not just going to die, but he's going to die fighting. That is the life that Spartans want, to die in battle for Sparta, for the glory of Sparta. It is an incredibly boring movie with a twist that makes no sense. Fassbender was the best part. Snowman 2017, if you're interested. Thank you. I will check that. I will look for it. Maybe give it a look. Might not review it. Who knows? I will have a review coming out tomorrow for the movie Sidekicks with Chuck Norris and can't remember the kid's name. But anyway, we see that we next see the Persian emissary whipping his slaves, and we see that he sees a few scouts along the way, dead scouts, and he's like, I am the emissary. You got good cinematography. This movie actually does good cinematography where they do the angles right to make these people look larger than life. Chuck Norris and Chuck Norris Jr. Yeah, right. Sidekick. Or right. Right, Kitty. So, you see the Spartans building the Phocian wall as this guy is just constantly just talking, and it's like, yeah, we don't give a fuck what you're saying, dude. We're kind of busy here. And he's like, do you think those paltry dozen you slew worries us? We have scouts roaming all these hills and whatnot. And do you think that this wall can do anything but fall like a heap of dry leaves in the face of... And then he notices the corpses in the wall. Yeah, then that's when Stelios speaks up. Our ancestors built this wall. And so, built from the rocks from the bosom of Mother Greece herself. And with a little Spartan help, your scouts provided the mortar. And so the guy goes to whip him for his barbarism, and he ends up losing his arms. And I really do love how he puts the sword. He's like, my arm. And he's like, it's not yours anymore. Spartan against Marine, POG, 60% chance, a grunt, 40% chance, infantry, warrant, officer, gunner, 20% chance. So 20% chance that they'll win, or 20% chance that you guys would survive against a Spartan and be geeks. And hey, Price is Right Reviews, good to see you. So he's like, go back, tell Xerxes that he faces free men here, not slaves. Oh, no, not slaves. Your elders will be slaves. Your women, your children, your sons and daughters will be slaves, but not you. By noon this day, you will all be dead men. And hey, Janet from another planet, folks, wish her congratulations for reaching 600 on her channel. She did a good job. She reached 600, onwards and upwards to 1,000. I'm willing to bet that Janet might actually be at 1,000 by year's end. Just saying. So yes, Janet, congratulations, girl. Awesome job. So yes, he's like, our arrows will blot out the sun. Then we will fight in the shade. And so we then see the battle is getting ready. And that's when Ephialtes shows himself to Leonidas and the captain. And he's like, there's a goat path that the Persians can use to outflank us. And the captain's ready to just kill this asshole because he doesn't like him at all. He's like, I will skewer you where he stands. I gave no such order. Get out. Forgive the captain. He needs a lesson in manners. And he's like, there's nothing to forgive. I know what I look like. And he's like, so you wear Spartan shield and whatnot. He's like, they were my father's. My family fled Sparta lest I be discarded. However, my father trained me to fight. And he has a good thrust, which the king acknowledges. He's like, a fine thrust. And all this guy wants to be is a part of the army, part of Sparta's army. Well, he tells him, I will kill many Persians. Raise your shield. What? Raise your shield as high as you can. And you see that Ephialtes has a hard time edging the shield up. And the look on Leonidas' face, he's eager to see this guy fight. Yes, he has a little bit of pride in him. But when he tries to raise the shield, he's like, your father should have told us about, or taught you about the phalanx, about how each Spartan protects the one or the warrior to his left from thigh to neck. One weak spot and the phalanx shatters. Thigh to neck, Ephialtes. And he realized, he's like, I'm sorry, I cannot use you. However, if you do want to take part in a Spartan victory, clear the battlefield of the dead, tend the wounded, bring them water. Not everyone was made to be soldiers. Well, in a deleted scene, Ephialtes tries killing himself, but somehow survives and then curses the gods. However, in this film, he just tosses his shield away and says, "You're wrong, Leonidas. You are wrong." So, the next we see of Ephialtes is later on when he betrays the Spartans. But we then see, or that scene where he is up there on that path, that is the same rock formation as we saw them spotting the Persians, celebrating on the cliffs, Leonidas's inspection as a baby. That rock formation, different angles, is the same rock formation that they use like through 9 different sequences in this film, including when they're pushing the Persians off the cliffs, as well as the elephants. Same damn set that they use at a different angle. It is freaking great. So then we see the Persians arrive, and the Spartans have set up the phalanx. And then you see that this Persian guy, he's like, "Spartans, lay down your weapons," and he's just trying to stare down the Spartans. He's like, and then he sees, oh shit, something's going. Oh shit, that's a spear. Boom. The Spartans have been known with a specific phrase called "molon labe," which translates into "bring it on" or "come and get it." And that's basically what they said when the Persians ended up at the Hot Gates. "Molon labe." Come and get it. Bring it on. We're not afraid of you. We will slaughter you. And that's basically what they did. They slaughtered the hell out of those Persians. And I really do like the cinematography. They actually had 3 cameras set up for this scene of Leonidas breaking ranks. When he breaks ranks to go forward, they have one set up with a specific zoom. The one that zooms in further is the second one. The one that zooms in on the spear is the third one. And then they go back and forth between these 3 cameras. And it's a seamless transition with these cameras, which is great. Zack Snyder is a very visual storyteller. A lot of people say he's not that good of a storyteller or not that good of a director and whatnot. However, as a visual storyteller, he does a good job. I honestly think he did a great job of this movie. And so he's like, or when they finally push off most of the Persians, they're like, oh, okay. So then they look off into the distance, and that's when the arrows fly, and it literally does blot out the sun, tuck tail, and they have their shields raised. And Astynos, the captain's son, starts laughing. Stelios is like, well, what are you laughing at? Well, you just had to say it. What? Fight in the shade. And they all start laughing. And then you get that iconic shot where after they recover, you see Leonidas take a spear and bust the arrows from his shield. That is pure iconic shot. How would I compare Gerard Butler's roles? Leonidas with other roles such as Phantom of the Opera, How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, Voice of Hiccup's father. Yep, Dracula 2000. Dracula 2000, he did very good. He also did good in a movie called Beowulf. And he did a great job in a lot of other movies like Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen and Angel Has Fallen. Gerard Butler is one of the actors that I really do enjoy watching. He had a very good editor help his vision come across on the big screen. Indeed, he did, Janet. Greenland. I have yet to see it, but I do plan on seeing it within the next few months, depending on how my schedule is looking with movies. Zack Snyder is a good director when the story is right for his style. Yes. I can agree with that. That was a really good scene with the arrows blotting out the sun. It's been years since I've seen this movie, but it stands out. Yeah. And so let's see here. The arrows blotting out the sun. Today, or then he busts the arrows and then he says, "Today, no Spartan dies." And we then cut to off of that, and we see back in Sparta, Leonidas' son is running throughout the streets, and Gorgo is trying to keep up. One of the things that they did in Sparta, this is on the historical record, is that they all watched out for each other. So when he runs through a blacksmith's shop and out the other way, and Gorgo loses sight, she looks to the blacksmith, and the blacksmith points to where her son goes, and she's thankful. That is actually something that is still done today in certain areas. I mean, back when I was a kid and kids were playing around in my town, all the adults watched out for all the kids. It was kind of like a community thing, which is great. Would you say that Zack Snyder is up there with George Lucas? No. Visual storytelling, George Lucas is top tier. Zack Snyder is maybe number 5 when it comes to visual storytelling, but actually that would make him close to him, so yes, but definitely not as good as George Lucas. George Lucas is a visual storyteller. Peter Jackson is a visual storyteller. Zack Snyder, is a good visual storyteller. Greenland is a good movie. I simply questioned the setup of the main plot. That was not answered. I will have to check it out, right, Kitty? So we then see that she's meeting with the councilman again. She'll speak before the council in 2 days' time. She has to silence any dissent from Theron, who basically runs the council. As far as visual director, I would give Zack Snyder a C. That's fair, I guess. And then we see Theron show up with her boy, and it's like, well, this is a creepy motherfucker. Because he's like, wouldn't want anything to happen to him or his beautiful mother. Because something I glossed over was after Leonidas left the E4s, Theron went up to the E4s with a Persian and basically are now conspiring to kill or to let Sparta fall. But the E4s will live and whatnot. So then we learn that also his son is only 6 and he goes into the Agoge next year. So then we go back to the Spartans killing any survivors, and that Leonidas is told by Stelios that a Persian contingent is coming too small for an attack. And he's like, oh, I guess I'll go talk to him. But sire, relax, dear boy. If they assassinate me, then all Sparta goes to war. Pray they're that stupid. Pray we're that lucky. This is where we fight. This is where they die. Yep. Zack Snyder is probably C+. He needs the right material. If he doesn't, the entire movie suffers. Yes. And 300 was purely perfect for Zack Snyder. And so we get the scene between him and Xerxes. Now, Rodrigo Santoro, who plays Xerxes, is about Gerard Butler's height. However, in the movie, he plays like 8 feet tall. So they film him separately from Gerard Butler. And so they actually make him look as if he is bigger, which is a nice little, they actually did that very well. Because they shot the sequences all at the same time, but then they shot them separate. so that there could be the integration. There's no reason why we can't be civil, is there? None, sire. And I love how when he says none, sire, he's stabbing a person who's dying beneath him. He's like, none, sire. It's like, and I love how Zerx got to go, okay, take it easy. Right, Katie, see you this weekend. So Xerxes is like, he comes down and he uses his men as steps, which, yeah, this dude's over, his pomposity is just insane. But they make it work. So, yeah. He's like, let me guess. You must be Xerxes. And it's amazing how much Rodrigo in this movie kind of looks like Yul Brynner. Yes, please smash the like button, folks. Also, if you can, share the stream out. It really does help. Get the like or get the watch time up. That helps immensely because my watch time has been suffering. I've been trying to get chats and stuff going out. I'm going to be doing the Wick movies later this month for Friday nights. I'm aiming for them when people all are able to get John Wick on physical media. I have it on digital media right now, so they also made Xerxes' voice deeper, which was a good touch, and I love it. This is all straight from the book. He's like, it would be a regrettable waste for you and your men to simply perish all because of a simple misunderstanding. There is much our cultures can share. Well, haven't you noticed we've been sharing our culture with you this entire morning? And he's like, yours is a fascinating tribe. Even now you're defiant in the presence of a god. And how do you expect to win when I would slaughter my own or kill any one of my own men for victory? And I would die for any one of mine. Consider the fate of Greece. Consider your lands reduced to ash at my whim. Consider the fate of your women. Clearly, you don't know our women. I might as well have marched them up here, judging by what I've seen. And he tells him, you have many slaves, Xerxes, but few warriors. It will not be long until they start fearing my spears over your whips. So then he tries another tactic. It is not the lash they fear, it is my divine power. Well, you haven't shown me shit, so what am I supposed to be afraid of? And he tells him, join me and you will lead my battle standard against the heart of Europa. I will make you warlord of all Greece. And people will kneel all over to you if you will just kneel at my feet. You are wise as you are divine, or you are great as you are divine, but the idea of kneeling, well, slaughtering all your troops has put a nasty cramp in my leg. So kneeling is going to be hard for me. And I just love how Gerard Butler delivers that line. He's like, slaughtering all those troops of yours has put a nasty cramp in my leg. So kneeling's going to be a bit hard. Yes, rhetorical. He does have the best barbs. They made him look very otherworldly, which is a good choice. Exactly. Lena Headey was such great as supporting actress. She was no weak bitch, nor was she a woke woman. She knew how power worked and knew how to use her power. She was a strong woman. Exactly. And that's the thing. Spartan women were extremely strong women. So then, well, at this point, Xerxes is pissed off. He's like, nothing will be gained with your sacrifice. Every piece of Greek parchment will be burned. Scholars will have their eyes put out. Uttering the name of Leonidas or Sparta will be punishable by death. And it will be as if the world will never know you existed at all. the world will know that free men stood against a tyrant, that few stood against many, and when this battle is over, even a god king can bleed. And that's all that needed to be said. Opinions on 300 soundtrack by Tyler Bates. Great score, especially the vocalizations during Gorgo's scenes. So yeah, we then get the next wave. It's like pile those Persians high, for unless I missed my guess, we're in for a wild night. And Xerxes sends his best, the immortals, who failed the test. We get they do manage to kill some Spartans. Some Spartans do die. However, they managed to slaughter that contingent of immortals, as well as the uber immortal who who has this weird growth in his chest, which was kind of fucking weird, and who manages to score a damage on the king. And then he also lets the Arcadians come down and whatnot. And it's like, okay, yeah, they do their part. They're lazy, they're clumsy and whatnot, but they do their part. You get Daisy Wenham's narrations over many scenes, which is great. And then you see that Xerxes was watching the battle from above, and he's pissed off because the Spartans slaughtered the immortals. And we then see the celebration at the end to our king, to victory. Nobody can stop us now. But you also see that Leonidas is not celebrating. However, he does dare to hope that we can hold the hot gates. We can win. It's great. And so the next day shows the Spartans slaughtering more people. And we see the rhino charge, grenades, their form of grenades being used. And they're still losing. They're getting all their butts slaughtered. Xerxes starts killing his generals for failure with the big freak dude with the bow and arm slicer. Astynos, the son of the captain, is working with goddamn Stelios, Michael Fassbender's character. He's like, you're still here? Somebody has to watch your back. Not now. I'm a little bit busy. And so it's like, after that small contingent of fighting is done, the captain sees his son and finally gives him approval, essentially. Well, it's at this point where another Persian is riding out with an axe as Astynos drops his guard to soak up his father's approval. And tragically, he gets beheaded.
I'll show you permanent damage, you wee fuck. Kratos, throw me at him.
So yeah, talking head, I decided to put in there. So that's when the captain breaks rank and goes blood drunk. He's shocked. He's in shock at this point, but he's still fighting, and he's slaughtering anybody that gets near him. Thank God they were only Persians who was doing it. And when he finally gets to the body of his son, he grabs his son's Persian cape, his Persian robe, and he just loses it. And it is like, oh, damn, man, that's bad, It is just, he sold it. The actor sold it so well, that sense of loss. And it really does hit him hard, So there are no songs sung that night. We then see the Pleasure of Freaks, which Ephialtes swears loyalty to Xerxes in a freaking hedonism tent. And he shows how, he's like, show me how to get around the cursed Spartans and your pleasures will be endless. I want it all, wealth, women, and I want something more, or one more thing, I want a uniform. And I'm thinking, where did I hear that before? Oh, right. That was from Daredevil. I want a bloody costume. And it's like, done. And I'm thinking to myself, boy, this dude, they only make him look more like a carnival freak. That was the worst part about it. Ephialtes gets a uniform and a dunce cap as part of the uniform. And I'm thinking to myself, you betrayed them for that? You fucking asshole. And we then see the scene where Theron bargains and pays off one of the Queen's handmaidens to talk with the Queen. And she's like, what does a realist want from his queen? In order to get him to back off so that she may speak to the council. Well, I think you know, and they have the rough sex there. You will not enjoy this, or this will not be over quickly, or this will not be over quickly. You will not enjoy this. I am not your king. And he takes her rather roughly. He was blood drunk as hell. Yes, he was. Now, we then see the next scene where Delios, or where the Spartans are quiet and they're healing up, cauterizing cuts, and Delios has lost his eye, but he's like, my captain curses the gods. Now, what they don't show, they show the captain, he's all disheveled, he has ash all over him. He's eating ash. He doesn't eat food, he'll eat ash in his mourning of his son. How would I compare Lena Headey to Gorgo with her roles as Mama Madrigal from Dredd, Mary Sandon from The Purge, and other roles that I've seen her in as like Sarah Connor? She does a graceful elegance in this film. However, she does know how to bring the violence when necessary, which is very good. Her character was good in Game of Thrones. I will fully admit that. She was great in Game of Thrones. She was also great as Sarah Connor. I think that was the point why they dressed him up that way. Yeah. And he comes out, or just after the Arcadian Daxos comes back, he's like, the Hunchback betrayed us. The Immortals took the goat path. By tomorrow we'll be overrun. And he's like, well, Spartans, prepare for glory. Glory? There's no glory to be had here. There's only ruin and death. We must retreat. Well, that's an easy choice for you, Arcadians. Spartans never retreat. Spartans never surrender. Now you go and you tell all of them to search their own souls, and while you're at it, search your own. Well, Daxos says, I'm taking my men with me. And they leave. And so Leonidas gives the speech. Children, gather around. No retreat, no surrender. That is Spartan law. And by Spartan law, we will stand and fight and die. And he says it with such a shit-eating grin on his face, because he knows that there is no greater honor to die for Sparta. And everyone will know that 300 Spartans stood against a great tyranny. And an age, or a new age, will rise from this, an age of freedom and justice. And then he has Delios come out. He's like, Delios, walk with me. Or just after the captain comes in first, and he's like, and the captain laments his son, regretting that he never told his son how much he loved him, and that his son was the best of him. And Leonidas tries comforting him. My heart is broken for your loss. Heart, he scoffs that off. He's like, heart, I have filled my heart with hate. Good. And so he tells Delios, you have a grand tale to tell. One of victory. Victory. He didn't understand at first. And he also tells him, you need to go back, tell our story. Let them know what happened here. And you are a great warrior, but you also are good in other ways, which is definitely telling or relaying messages. You are good at telling the tale. So let them know what went on here. And then he says, sire, any message for the queen? He hands back his wolf claw necklace, none that need be spoken. So there is that, and he's like, and so I left, or so hundreds left, and only one looked back, and that was Delios. And so that's when Leonidas, sorry, had a brain fart there. He says, Spartans, ready your breakfast and eat hearty, for tonight we dine in hell. Now, it would have been better if he said, tonight we dine in Hades, or Elysium even. It would have been better that way, because hell doesn't exist in Greek mythology. The underworld, Hades, does. That is their hell. However, hell is not a term. It would have been great if they would have said, for tonight, or if he would have said, for tonight we dine in Hades, or something like that. I mean, it is still an iconic line, for tonight we dine in hell, sure. But still, a more accurate aesthetic would have been, tonight we dine in Hades. So then we get the next scene of Gorgo going before the Senate, or the council. And to tell, or the council chamber. And she has her plea. She's like, we're at war. A war that was brought to our gates. A war that will enslave us if we do nothing. Send the army for hope. Send the army for justice. She gives a very great speech. And everybody in the chamber, sorry. Everybody in the chamber is like, we must send them. Until Theron speaks up, and I'll get to you and Neozoic in a second after this. Theron's like, or because he's in Xerxes' pocket, he's like, moving, elegant, but that doesn't change the fact that your husband has brought war upon us. Hey, Stieg, great to see you, buddy. And I am doing well. Thank you for asking, bub. And she tells him, you're wrong. It was Xerxes, and before that, Darius, who brought who brought war to Marathon. And so Theron goes against her, basically saying, hours ago, you offered yourself to me. You offered yourself to the other councilman. And why should we trust a whore? Your husband is out there promoting anarchy and war, and you come in here with your unclean self, basically saying that we should go to war? No. And he antagonizes her, calls her a whore queen and all that. And you know what? She had enough of that shit. She slaughters him. She pulls the other guy's sword, stabs him, and throws his own words back at him. This will not be over quickly. You will not enjoy this. I am not your queen. And when she pulls out, you see that there's a lot of Persian gold, which the council sees and calls him a traitor as she leaves. Someone had to tell the tale of the 300 versus a million. 299 may have died, but they won the war. The Persians just did not know it yet. Exactly. Now, Neozoic. How would I compare 300 with other 2006, 2007 comic book films, such as Superman Returns, Last Stand, Spider-Man 3, Ghost Rider, Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer, 30 Days a Night? Never saw 30 Days a Night, but this film is better than all those movies. And yes, I am actually one of the few people who actually like Rise of the Silver Surfer, despite Galactus being inside of a storm cloud. And I will defend that against anybody who tries to say Galactus was the storm cloud. No, Galactus was inside the cloud. You actually see his physical shape inside the cloud. But that's another time. The sequel isn't too bad either. Eva Green still... Yes! Eva Green in that movie. Holy crap, man. It's like, she does steal it. She does indeed steal it. So we then see the 300's glorious end, where the Immortals went around the goat path, and you see the spiked shell of the 300 with their shields, and an M. Night Shyamalan-looking wannabe coming up and giving praise to Leonidas. And then you see Ephialtes come in, who's like, listen to reason, or use your reason, think of your men. And you see the look of utter contempt on Leonidas' face, because this man betrayed them. We could have held the hot gates pretty much indefinitely, or possibly even longer than just 3 days, because the battle was over in 3 days, folks. 3 days, the Spartans lost against hundreds of thousands of Persians. However, he takes off his helmet, he drops his shield, and before he drops his spear, he says something to Ephialtes. Now, a lot of you, unless you absolutely know Spartan society, will not understand what this means. You there, Ephialtes, may you live forever. Ephialtes immediately understands this and looks away, because he understands that is the gravest insult a Spartan can give you. The Spartans all serve to die for their country. To live forever is seen as living as a coward. Is to be seen as one who avoids war to live a long life. So when he says, may you live forever, he's basically cursing the fuck out of Ephialtes. That is basically saying, I curse you to the worst fate. It is an abundance of shame, indeed. A lot of shame, rhetorical thrill. It also means that through him, Sparta will live, since they know they will die. Yeah. At this point, though, Ephialtes was cast out. At this point, he was no longer seen as a Spartan. He was, or a Greek for that matter. He was seen as an enemy. And to reiterate, folks, for those of you who haven't gotten here, Ephialtes was a real historical figure. He was the great betrayer of the 300 Spartans. However, the real Ephialtes, nobody knows what he looks like in the historical record because of what he did. His physical description was left out of the historical record because of his betrayal. Where Jesus has his Judas Iscariot, in which Gerard Butler played brilliantly in Dracula 2000, Ephialtes was the great betrayer of Sparta. However, the great betrayer of King Leonidas in this case. So yes, he drops his spear then and pretends to kneel. Or he kneels and then calls Stelios out. Stelios kills the commander of the army as Xerxes is looking on, and that's when the slaughter order is given, and many of this, or the rest of them, are dying. However, Leonidas gets that last chance. Grabs his spear. He dropped his helmet and his shield because they threw him off balance and they cut his focus, whereby taking them off, he is unburdened and his target is far. And I absolutely love the cinematic sequence of this, where you see that spear, or the spear's shadow, going up those stairs, slithering like a snake almost. And then you see Xerxes just shocked to shit that he managed to throw that spear at him, and it gets him right here, fulfilling Leonidas's fulfilling his promise. Oh, we got a thunderstorm outside, folks. So if you hear rumbling or something, I'm sorry about that. Also, if the stream cuts out, I'm sorry about that too. So he tells him, the free men will know that free men stood against a tyrant, and that even a god king can bleed. He sells the punch in the face by the Leonite's words, the look of shame on his face. Yes, exactly. And when you see Leonidas, or you also see the captain's death, where the captain's getting stabbed by like 3 fucking spears, and he's just still killing everybody. And then he just pulls the spear further into himself to kill the guy who held it. That was a badass kill. The look on Xerxes' face when he bleeds is great. Yes. Yes. I'm not sure even he thought he would bleed. Well, he's been taught all the time that he was a god king, that he was a god, when in fact he was just a man who was enhanced by witchcraft. Okay, Dracula 2000, that twist of him being Judas was just excellent. You did not see that coming. No, yeah, that is actually in my opinion, that is one of the greatest twists in movie history. And so now you see, and I also love when he's holding himself and then he sees they're all dying, he continues to hold and then he backs away. The people, luckily, his men were not looking at him because they would have seen a god cowering at that moment. A god can bleed, exactly. And folks, this was the first movie that tipped off the whole thing. If you can make God bleed, people will cease to believe in him. And then Thanos bleeds. So yes, Marvel took all that shit from 300 from Zack Snyder. Yeah. So you then see them dying, and you see the last defiant roar of Leonidas. And Stelios, it was an honor to die at your side, and Leonidas telling him, and it was an honor to have lived at yours. And then he gets up with his final words, facing Greece. He's facing away from Xerxes and his army in defiance, and he's looking at his homeland. My queen, my wife, my love. His last words. And then he raises his arms in defiance as they loose the arrows. And then we see Delios coming back, handing the necklace to the queen, and the look on his face. The look on his face is shame. He wanted to stay back and fight with the other Spartans. He doesn't get that until afterward. Remember us. It's as simple an order as a king can give. Remember why we died. For he did not wish tribute or song or monuments of valor or glory. Remember us. Those were his words to me. And he spoke this before the council. And then we see Leonidas dead along with the other 300. Should any free soul come across that place in all of the countless centuries yet to be, may all our voices whisper to you from the ageless stones. Go tell the Spartans, passerby, that here by Spartan law we lie. And I do believe there is a plaque out in that field among Thermopylae that carries that very same quote. Go tell the Spartans, passerby, that we by Spartan, or that here by Spartan law we lie. They died so that freedom would prevail. And it is such a powerful moment. And then we see barely a year later where Delios continues, long have I wondered that cryptic message from my king of victory, but time has proven him wise. And they are on Plataea, which was the battle, or the ultimate battle of that war, where the Persian horde lost to Greece. And he tells them, look, or there the barbarians huddle with fear gripping them with icy fingers, or gripping their hearts with icy fingers, because they remember the merciless horrors that they experienced at just a hand of 300. Now they look across the plain at 10,000 Spartans, leading 30,000 free Greeks. 40,000 against 3-1. So that's 100 or 30,000. That's 120,000 left of the Persian army, where the Persian army at that time, just a year prior, numbered in the millions. Yeah. So, yeah. And he tells them, give thanks, men, to Leonidas and the brave 300. And you see the charge, which they use the same camera zooming, or the 3-camera thing with the zoom effect with Delios charging. While this movie is based on historical context, it is not based on the it is not an accurate depiction. This is still a work of fiction based on, while the story of the 300 is based on historical context, this movie is based on the graphic novel from Frank Miller. Objectively speaking, this film falls to, or is about a 7.5, because while there's great visual sequences, there are some things that do fall short in acting. There is some writing that could have been a lot better. There are certain scenes that could have been touched up a little bit more, that could have been brightened a little bit more. So lighting is an issue in some of these scenes because of the sepia look that they did for the film. So yes, I'm not punishing the sepia look because that was by design. However, it does cause a problem with the lighting. So that is an objective flaw. Subjectively, I love this movie. 300 is a great film that deserves a lot of praise. It is truly a story that stands for the preservation of freedom in the face of tyranny. The U.S. can really respect that right now. So my subjective is 9 out of 10. I enjoy the film. A couple of problems here and there, but that's about it. Not too worried about it. Moviegoer, 10 out of 10. I enjoy it. It keeps me engaged. I love it. Great music. I mean, this movie is a beautiful film to watch. Anyway, that is going to be the review. The hints for next week are the same hints, slightly, that were for this film. The main characters die, an embellished history. However, I will give you one more hint. A character with 2 different eye colors is in the film. So, 2 different eye colors, embellished history, and the main characters die. That will be next week's. So, yes, make sure that you stay tuned, folks. Thank you all for tuning in. Stieg, Neozoic, NB Geek, Rhetorical Thrill, Vanya, Janet from Another Planet, Ruben, Thomas Official, thank you. Junebug, Riot Kitty. Who else? Price is Right, thank you for stopping in. Fierce Apathetic Black Queen, thank you for stopping in. And Christian Freights, thank you for stopping in. Ruben Thomas, I already said, thank you. Again, Vanya. Davian Donaldson, thank you for stopping in. And Cannoli Sasquatch, thank you for stopping in. Let's see here. Anybody else? Nope. But yep. Glad there was a day where I could drop in and had seen the movie. Thank you, Rhetorical Thrill, again. Now, also, stay tuned for tonight, folks, at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. I will be on Society of Reviews channel for the Barroom Podcast. And at 7 p.m., I will be in Odin's chat, modding his chat for his OMB Reviews Tuesday night stream. And in the second and third week of June, I believe it is, Mara and I will be doing the ones and twos. We'll be doing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Rhetorical Thrill has a great reaction video to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, so definitely look that up. Great stuff from her. And that will be all, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Orange Hat Reviews. Have a wonderful day, and always remember, stay humble.